Hi, Emily.
Hi.
Welcome to Madison Oneida BOCES. Thank you for coming in and talking to our students about a career area that they may have an option to go into. So please tell us who you are and tell us the name of your company.
Sure. Thank you for having me. My name is Emily Mandrash. I am a field representative for Dig Safely New York. We are a one call center that is based in East Syracuse. We cover all of upstate New York. Downstate has their own call center, which is New York 811. So there's actually two call centers in New York, and we function separately. But we cover 55 counties in upstate New York as the one call center for placing location requests if you're doing any kind of digging, whether you're using mechanized equipment or hand tools. You would call us to place a location request. So a locator would come out and put marks on the ground so you know where all the underground infrastructure is before you actually start your work. So the idea is to help keep everybody safe and protect that infrastructure.
So when they call, does your company go out with the equipment and help do the digging, or do you just mark it?
That's a great question. We actually don't have any locators on staff. Our company consists mainly of a call center. So that is our main function. We have damage prevention representatives, is what we call the people who work in the call center. And then they will take all the information for the location request. They have all the information in a form. It's always the same information that they will ask. They put that in, and then that information is then dispatched out to any of the underground utility companies who might be affected by the work you're doing in that specific area. So then the underground utility companies will either go out themselves and mark those underground utilities, or they will contract in a third party to actually do the locating.
Nice. So if I worked for you, what kind of skills would I need to be successful?
So the nice thing about our company is we have a variety of positions within our company. As I said, the call center is the main bulk of it. So for that, if you were to be a damage prevention representative, definitely good communication skills, organizational skills, listening skills, because you are on the phone with people quite often, taking very important information about these projects that are taking place. So you want to make sure you get that information correct. So the ability to multitask as well, because as you're sitting at your computer and taking these phone calls, you might have a few other things going on as well. So you're expected to, be there taking the calls for the majority of your shift. I believe there are built-in breaks. So it's not a position where you can just get up and wander around. Those breaks are built in. There are other departments within Dig Safely New York. So for myself, as a field rep, I work in essentially the marketing and education department. So our job is to spread awareness about Dig Safely New York and the importance of placing location requests, how to actually place a location request, and who is required to do so. So as a field rep, I do a lot of teaching, actually. So I go out to a lot of locations and teach excavators, mainly students. I've done some BOCES classes. So we really try to get the information out to professionals and homeowners. So that's where I come in. And we work with a lot of promotional items. I manage groups called Damage Prevention Councils. So those are groups of anybody involved in excavation. So it could be, excavators themselves, locators, utility companies, municipalities, people who sell equipment. We get a variety of people that come to these meetings, and then the main goal of them is to establish a networking platform for them, because communication within the field is really important, and just offer them any information we have regarding updates or help with the process, because sometimes, even though it seems cut and dry. You call, you place your location request, and you get your mark out. Of course, there's going to be issues that arise. So we try to be there to help with that. So for my position, definitely communication skills. My major was public relations. My minor was journalism. So both of those things definitely help. But as long as you have knowledge of what you're talking about, that certainly helps as well. Understanding the excavation workforce and community, the equipment. So other counterparts, because we have 5 field reps throughout New York, those have backgrounds in locating, in sales. It's very varied. Some of them have worked for utility companies. So it's not just you need to have this one kind of background. If you have an interest in safety, in excavation, in education, in communication, it's very varied, and you can kind of make the position your own. So if you have skills that would benefit the company and the position, you can utilize those and make it work best for yourself.
Wow.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, a high school diploma, is that a necessity to work for you?
So high school is required for the damage prevention representatives in the call center. College is not required. However, if you were to apply to that position with a college degree, your application would probably be looked at first. For my position as a field rep, either a college degree is required or equivalent work experience. So, yes, a high school diploma.
So obviously then salaries are a range from just out of high school to all of the college education and all of that.
Correct. So entry level for the damage prevention representative in the call center right now for 2021 is $14 an hour. So that's just under $30,000 a year. But the company is great in the fact that it does offer bonuses and incentives. So that could change depending on your work level, dedication, and so on. So that's entry level. For the other positions, they do range from that about 30,000 mark to up to 100,000. So depending on your position, your experience, it definitely varies. So there is a lot of opportunity for movement. Even if you stay in your same position, if you are doing a great job, that will be rewarded, which is a great thing. You know, it makes you as an employee want to continue to work harder. But you know, as a damage prevention rep, if other positions open up within the company, you're encouraged to apply. And as I said, you know, we have the marketing department, we have education, you know, we have a team that does social networking, graphic designing. We have somebody who works with analyzing all of our numbers, all of our data. So there's a lot of different aspects that go into this small company. We are relatively small, we're a nonprofit, so it's not a big corporate company. So I don't know offhand how many employees we have at this moment, especially because everybody's working at home. But I don't believe it's ever over like 50. So, you know, it's a nice, tight-knit group to work in, but there is a lot of opportunity for moving around, using your skills. You know, I know one a damage prevention rep, she was into photography, so that was her position, but we would utilize her to help take pictures of different things. So if you have a skill set that you want to use, it's encouraged.
Nice. So you've talked about there is a lot of growth movement within your business. You can grow with the business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if I were to get hired, do you do like social media checks on anything before
Always.
we get hired.
Yes, that is something the company does. They always check any social media platforms that are available. So it is important to make sure that you are keeping those private or professional. And that is something that they will look into during the screening process.
So if I wanted a job with you, where would I go to look? Do you have like Indeed or LinkedIn, Facebook? What platform do you use?
Yep, so Indeed is the most popular one that we utilize. I believe we also use Zoom Recruiter and LinkedIn, but Indeed is the main one we utilize.
Great. So if I get hired by you, again, do I have to bring my own tools with me? Is there a uniform that I would have to wear?
Sure. Again, because the positions are varied, if you were to work in the call center, there's no uniform. If you're actually in the building, it's business casual. But as far as equipment, everything typically is inside the building, and you can use the equipment there. You have your own desk. Nobody else shares that desk. Now that everybody's working at home, the equipment is provided. So when we did make that transition, they made sure everybody had a setup at home. You're not expected to go out and buy that equipment. For a field rep, our attire is pretty casual, depending on where we're going to be. We're out in the field a lot, so we do wear jeans, maybe some boots if we're out at a job site, or even sometimes when we do these educational trainings, we're in a garage. So when I started, I expected it to be a little bit more business, formal, but you'll find you don't want to wear slacks when you're in a garage setting up your screen and tearing it down. So it's pretty casual. They will provide, shirts with our logo on it. So, those are encouraged to be worn when you're representing the company. But other than that, there's no real uniform that you would have to wear or equipment that you would have to purchase.
Great. So to kind of wrap this up, tell us what made you choose to go to your company. Tell us your story, how you got started.
Sure. My background is not excavation or the construction industry or really anything related to the one call center. So life is funny, and it took me to Dig Safely New York. I, as I said, had a background in public relations and journalism. I was working at a local news station as an assignment editor for about 5 years, and I used a lot of my skills there to this position as far as organization and communication, but working in news can be a very mentally and emotionally draining. So when I saw this job open up, I took advantage of it. The position that I'm in as a field rep, the thing that I personally like about it is very flexible. You essentially make your own schedule, depending on what events need to be taken care of that day, whether it's, sometimes a parade or a job fair or a trade show, or you're teaching a class. No day really is the same. So that's nice. It can be a little hectic, but you can make it your own. So say you have a doctor's appointment, you can work around that. The positions in the call center are a little bit more strict with the schedule. So, it's a very varied company. And as I said, you can kind of move around, but that's what drew me to this position, is that I could still utilize my skills. But I was being encouraged to kind of think outside the box in this position. I could use other skills that I wasn't using before. And, it does allow me to kind of be creative, meet a lot of people. And so it was not a straight line to this position, but sometimes that's okay. So I'm happy that I wound up at Dig Safely New York. And if anybody ever has any questions about the company or positions available, they can definitely reach out.
Great. Well, thank you for your time. And I appreciate you coming and sharing your experience with our students.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.